What's up guys, JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another video. So today's video is a continuation of a series that I started a few months ago called Exploring the Films of Alfred Hitchcock. And the reason that I created this series is because I haven't seen a ton of Alfred Hitchcock's films. I have seen Psycho and a couple of others, but I've really not dug deep into this man's catalog, and he's considered, one of the best filmmakers of all time, so I figured it's probably time to dig deeper into Alfred Hitchcock's films. And I also happened to pick up this box set, which contains a great deal of his films. This is the Masterpiece Collection, really cool Blu-ray set here. So I actually finally checked out another one of his flicks, and this is 1972's Frenzy. Frenzy was, one of the films made, I guess, in the later part of Alfred Hitchcock's career, and it follows a man who is sort of an alcoholic. He's working at a pub, and he basically gets fired when we're first introduced to him. So he is accused of, I believe, drinking and not paying his bill or his tab with the alcohol that he's drinking from the bar, which we're not really sure if it's true or not. They don't really tell us. We just take the man's word for it that he was going to pay. And we find out that he's divorced from his wife, and basically there is also a killer in this section of wherever the film takes place. I assume it's probably like London or somewhere, and somewhere in the UK. We find out that there's this killer named the Necktie Killer, who is strangling and raping women with his, necktie and leaving it around their body. We see a woman murdered in a pond at the beginning of the film, where the necktie is wrapped around her still. So we sort of are wondering, how this is going to all, deal with our lead character. You probably have an idea, but essentially he goes and visits his wife, sort of has an argument. The secretary out front hears it, kind of doesn't look so good on him. He basically is, he's jealous of his wife to an extent. She has a successful business. I think she gives like relationship advice or like helps match people together. And he's, down on his luck. She's like buying meals and stuff. They still have sort of a, decent relationship, but definitely has splintered, and they're divorced now. So he also has a girlfriend who also worked at the bar. And basically one day after he leaves his wife's office, a man walks in and basically rapes and murders the ex-wife. And we know who this is. I'm not going to reveal it, but I'm surprised this wasn't more of a whodunit like I had expected. They pretty much let you know who the killer is sort of right off the bat. You have this this guy that we're introduced to in the film, and then we see him murder somebody. So okay, that's the killer. And it happens, pretty, I'd say, like in a little bit before the midpoint of the film. And it's the sequence in which the ex-wife is raped and murdered is different, because it's definitely more violent than I expected for a Hitchcock film. A little bit more graphic, I would say. That you actually see the breasts of the woman who is being raped. And I just didn't expect that, I guess. And I didn't expect to see a rape at all, really. And it's there. It's not as brutal or violent as, say, Last House on the Left, that also came out in the year 1972. But for Hitchcock, kind of weird. It's more of like this clothed rape. It doesn't look as realistic as you might expect in sort of a rape sequence, but it's okay. I didn't really expect it to. And it's debatable whether that is important or not, but we'll save that for another debate. So after this rape and murder happens, we basically have the husband, you probably could have guessed, is being, you know, the prime suspect because of that argument that happened earlier. The fact that in their divorce it was stated that he was violent and abusive towards the ex-wife. I believe they did that just to speed up the process of the divorce. It was something agreed upon by both parties, but obviously they, you know, didn't tell anybody that. So he has that going against him. You know, him just leaving the area when she, you know, was murdered shortly after or seen near it. You know, it doesn't look good from a man here. So that's basically your plot. You know, a man, you know, a wrongly convicted man, which is very reminiscent of a lot of Hitchcock films. So I think that this film is actually very good. I think it is one of I like it a lot better than Saboteur. I guess it's more of a horror film too. I do think this is actually a horror film. You know, this is pretty dark subject matter here, a killer, and it's, you know, a thriller too and a suspense film. But I do think it you know, definitely touches that horror spectrum, which it surprised me because not, you know, you hear Psycho, you hear The Birds, and those are really the two horror films you hear from Alfred Hitchcock. But I would definitely lump this into the horror category. But this film is, man, this film is really good, and it has a certain different sort of aspect to it that I guess I didn't really expect, and that's this level of comedy, this very, very dark comedy. And I don't want to give away specific scenes, but there are quite a few, like, very funny scenes in this film, um, involving murder and you know, death and dark stuff. So very weird. Even the actual final of the film is very funny. Um, Very, very good movie. There's one scene in particular that was, you know, great Hitchcock. Basically, the secretary is walking back to the office building where we have just witnessed a rape and murder. We know the body's still in there. The camera follows her. Camera stops. She continues walking. The camera keeps going. It stops, and then you just wait. You're kind of counting the steps in your head, like how long it's going to take to get to the building. You have that suspense of knowing she's going to find the body, and then you just hear this, you know, this scream, and it just works. Like, that's the techniques and stuff that you look for when you're watching an Alfred Hitchcock film, and you see why he was so great, because it's just stuff like that, you know, very inventive for the time, and things like that. And he just was a fantastically great filmmaker, and I'm really enjoying going through his filmography, even though I'm only 2 films in now. I'm actually going to watch, I think, Rear Window next is my next film that I'm going to watch. But, you know, there's so many to get to, and it's going to be fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And if you haven't, pick up this box set. It's pretty good. You can get it pretty cheap. It's always discounted on Amazon, so keep an eye out for that. Drop me a comment. Tell me what you think about Frenzy. I think it's really good. I gave Frenzy a solid, I believe, 8.5 out of 10. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.